Hello, everyone. So we are here to have a discussion on the roadmap of contract lifecycle management software and some of the important trends that we are seeing in that space. More importantly, what are the implications of modern CLM with the sell side and the buy side, and how AI is affecting, the entire space. Hi, my name is Sujan Mathew. I'm leading the procurement and the sales tech segments in Quadrant Knowledge Solutions. With me, we have an expert from CobbleStone Software, Mark, who will be talking about, how CLM software is a very important, node connecting the two enterprises, and with respect to the CobbleStone CLM software. So just to give a basic points that would be covered in this segment. So first, we would kind of have a discussion on what are the major segments of the modern CLM, followed by how AI is changing the entire CLM landscape and some of the important features that is there in the Cobblestone software, and how Cobblestone is leveraging AI. Then we'll talk about some of the major implications that CLM has with RLM and the S2P suits, followed by lastly with the roadmap of Cobblestone CLM software and Wisdom AI. So to start with, how is the present CLM or the modern CLM very different from how it was before? So a CLM software or the contract lifecycle management software was basically meant to manage the entire life cycle of the contract creation process. So that is so how Quadrant kind of defines it is from contract authoring, review, negotiations, approvals, and the repository segment. So um, contract lifecycle management actually has moved beyond that, and it has reached to the actual management of the contract journey and the user ease of use. And that is where uh, both the buy side and the sell side comes in. So first of all, the Quadrant Knowledge Solutions, uh, our company is an analyst company, and we do research on 25 major ICT domains, and we have specialization in various segments in the procurement and sales tech, where from the sales tech, the larger suite is the RLM suite, and the procurement larger suite is the S2P suite. So, Mark, with respect to Cobblestone software, could you just give a brief?
Sure. First, thank you. Thank you to ExpertEdge and Quadrant for allowing me to be here. I'm Mark Nastasi, Executive VP and co-founder of CobbleStone Software. And it's a pleasure to be here today. Thank you. As far as a background on Cobblestone Software offers Contract Insight as a B2B software tool that helps thousands of legal professionals with the CLM. And we like to say we're one of the most full life cycle feature rich CLM, from offering features from contract legal intake to legal workflow routing to contract review, redlining, counterparty collaboration, electronic signature, post-contract signature management into a consolidated contract repository, all backed by our Wisdom artificial intelligence. And I'm excited to dive into the details of CLM, the industry, and how we are evolving with the advancement of AI.
Yeah. So thank you, Mark. And from the CLM side, like what Quadrant Knowledge Solutions, like our analysts here are seeing is that um, there is one major segment, that is CLM is a major node between the sales process or the sales tech, and from the buyer side, the procurement tech. So we are seeing that CLM has become a really important node connecting businesses, connecting enterprises, And which is why in a modern CLM, this is one of the major segments that has changed. Contract lifecycle management has become a major communication or a business building software between two enterprises. So we'll go to a very deep segment, afterwards. But majorly with respect to something that I, talked about earlier, that is a modern CLM is quite different from just managing the CLM process. So the difference that has happened is with respect to managing the ease of use of the users. So this is with respect to, there's a lot of documents involved. There's a lot of management. Building the contract itself goes through a lot of document management processes, and contract lifecycle management is trying to reduce the workload that the legal teams have to such an extent where they don't have to rely on IT teams anymore. Mark, what do you think?
Yeah, we can't agree more. When we look at a contract, that it is the fabric that binds business to businesses together, and business to other operations, whether employee, vendor, and customer management together. So, as these contracts and agreements affect different areas of business, um, we need to find better solutions to make end users' jobs easier. And as you mentioned, a big part of contract management or CLM is processing a large amount of documents with complex written language and into clauses which are not only for a human tough to interpret, but takes a lot of legal time. And with the complexity of the legal environment, it requires expensive professionals such as legal, barred, and licensed legal professionals to make decisions to represent the best interest of an organization. And with any certified professional or any industry that has certified professionals, it comes at a very high cost for that labor. So any efficiencies we can bring with a modern CLM to bring it from a manual review, a manual reading, into a more automated, quicker review. The payback is huge for the legal professionals we serve. Saving an hour of legal time here in the United States can save somewhere from $50 to $1,000 in legal time an hour, and that's a huge expense savings. And that's our primary mission, is to really continue to expand the tool set using the modern AI technology for not only ease of use but assisted AI, so that legal professionals can review faster, a lot more accurately, reduce redundancy, and produce a better product that actually can be beneficial to both parties in the end. So, Sujan, we can't agree more, and there's just so much more that we can uncover as we get in our discussion today.
Yeah, there are a lot of specialists talking about how contract lifecycle management has become like a expert document management software, where they are it's a seamless journey, from transferring from something like a review process where they can directly review on the Microsoft Word, or from Google Documents or some similar kind of interactions, and seamlessly move to a final document which can be reviewed effortlessly. So, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, exactly. The challenge in legal contract review is exponential over other disciplines that might be using current technology, such as writing a thesis where you can combine a series of current modern research into a document in order. But a contract has two sides to it, right? One party wants some advantage, or another party may have disadvantage, and finding that common language where two parties will agree is quite challenging. So, having an advanced system that's not only historically good data tracking and reporting and alerts, but analyzing that full document, as you mentioned, to empower the user to understand the document quicker, offer suggestions, perhaps even offer comparisons to what we'll call the client's playbook clauses are important, and that's where we'll find that a CLM advances document management beyond the traditional scope of the prior document management systems.
Yeah, and there are a lot of vendors, software vendors who have actually not moved from that stage yet, where they visualize their tools are basically uh, contract management software. Their contract management software is basically trying to provide a way of managing the contract itself and just changing the languages, verifying the terms. So like what most of the leadership in the segment is quite, what I've seen is it's very different from the rest of the market, by one of which is of CobbleStone Software, where we are uh, the software itself is managing the entire contract management journey, trying to digitize as much as the process as possible, trying to make negotiations much more easier, trying to standardize the process, trying to make sure companies don't have to go to multiple sources to check on data. And as you mentioned earlier, that every industry, with respect to regional segments and with product segments, there are a lot of complexities involved. So contract lifecycle management, modern ones, are trying to change that entire process, trying to make sure that the ease of use is the best.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we agree, and certainly, in to further expand on it, the complexity of document
Yes.
management in CLM versus other disciplines. When it comes to legal contract review, it varies. There's no set a process. So the legal rules, definitions, and laws vary not only by country, but in the U.S. state by state, and other countries by province and region. So what works in one area of the country or world or wherever regional that user is at doesn't quite work well in another region. So that, the complexity of interacting with this document that's a legal contract that not only tells a story but sets guidelines on performance for on buy side contract management, the rules of the vendor supplier engagement, or the sell side contract management on customer engagement and getting that lead to close is so important. And to find efficiencies in this process, just to make it easier for both the buyer and seller, the customer and buyer, to 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 get them to a happy medium to say, yes, we're going to sign and engage in business successfully. And once the contract's signed, it doesn't stop there. The really great thing that keeps us challenged is post-contract execution. Are both parties doing what they're supposed to do? And that varies, the difference from the buy-side contract management versus the sell-side contract management. So again, we agree so much on that area that the the challenge in our industry is really been upon us. And we're just really excited that there's solutions that can help the customer engagement between the contract and how to get it approved, and all along watching the data, because the contract does have data elements in that need to be in a structured form, in an analytical form, both during processing time and post signature.
Absolutely, Mark. Especially with respect to the regional and province level, there are certain countries where the it's not a set geographical region differentiation. There is, it can vary from region to region, state to state, province to province, and apart from that, the specific contract and the complexity and the customization required for a particular industry varies a lot, with respect to another industry also. The way the contracts is understood, the way the different kinds of partners are involved in the process, and with respect to the number of reviews that has to happen. So yeah, there are a lot of complexities involved, and modern CLMs are able to do this work very effortlessly. And that process is what is kind of changing the entire landscape. And one major, you know, segment of the management process is where AI comes in. So here at Quadrant, what we have done is we have put it under buckets. One is with respect to the authoring, the first part, that is the authoring process, or with respect to the discovery of clauses and the specific segments where data has to be extracted and placed. That is one segment. Another segment is with respect to negotiations management, and the last part is with management of repository. So how do you view where AI comes in, Mark?
Sure, sure. And that's a great breakdown. As we see CLM into your original contract intake or contract origination, that starts with counterparty management. And you mentioned a good challenge in this industry between sell side contract management, where you're 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 selling to a customer, versus buy side. And the actual risk enters the organization even before the contract comes into your organization, and you want to analyze clauses, which I'll get to in a bit. But it's counterparty management as well. How well to know that customer, where AI has been advancing in that area to know the customer's industry, the segment, the size of the customer, perhaps their prior buying habits. On the buy side contract management, perhaps that vendor's performance, rating, delivery time, quality. So having some of these tools with AI embedded in the product helps a great deal with efficiencies. So by the time the legal contract comes into the legal team or professional that's reviewing it, they have some counterparty intelligence in there, where AI is helping with these metrics and identifying risk. A good example there is, do you really want to procure one of your biggest purchases in the organization from a company who just filed bankruptcy and probably going out of business? Perhaps not. So knowing the counterparty is very important, and AI is doing a good job with, with consolidating in large language models information about organizations and many other things in the world, but to narrow on that segment, knowing counterparty. To get to your point with the contract analysis part, is, yeah, we break it apart to knowing the documents, the attachments, and then each clause within the contract, which is important, because if it's a third party paper or counterparty paper, what's really important to the legal reviewer is, at least in a traditional way, they would read the contract manually, understand each clause, analyze, let's say, if there's a clause like an indemnification clause, is that acceptable to the organization they represent? And mentally, we do this. It takes time to analyze a clause, recognize what that clause is. In the example of, it's an indemnification clause versus a limitation of liability clause, and then process, is this indemnification clause uh, truly representative of what the organization guidelines are for risk management? Is it too broad indemnity, or is it narrow indemnity and can be accepted? And if it's working one way for the other, it may be working the wrong way for the counterparty. So finding that great balance with AI and natural language processing, sentiment analysis, co-reference, combined with the large language models of not only modern writings, but what we did with Visdom AI is categorize our own million clause project to add to the LMMs to make the intelligence of AI that we use a little stronger and faster in recognizing what the clause is, and then comparing it to a playbook of clauses within a client's organization that's configurable to really decide, is that clause fitting of what the organization would like to take from risk, analyze it with sentiment and sentiment ratings. And this can happen so quickly that I'm amazed, after reading thousands of contracts, how quick a good AI tool can do some of these steps, and essentially make a recommendation to the legal reviewer, and flag things that they may have missed, or just make that process better and more efficient in the contract review process. But certainly, and then, as you mentioned, going through the signature process is paramount. To get to that signature stage faster is beneficial to both party, because, as they say, time is money, and in business, getting things done quicker, faster, especially with supply side inventory management, is really, really important into the post-contract repository. You did mention the post-contract signature repository, and even after that signature, having the system analyze that contract for deliveries, maybe quantity discounts, vendor compliance, insurance certificates is a complex stage that AI is able to help out with by recognizing these obligations between parties, putting them into a structured format where alerts and triggers and bells can be set off at certain times to ensure each party is complying with the contract. And in the end, helping organizations with a win-win that all starts at the root of when you're onboarding that counterparty.
Yeah, exactly, Mark. There are a lot of points that I completely agree on with respect to quick delivery. So, as you mentioned, time is the most critical factor, and apart from that, with respect to reaching to the ROI that is expected, and with respect to the business also, there is a lot of other important segments where CLM, helps phenomenon, to a very large extent with respect to the integration with AI. So one of those segments, what I completely agree on is with reduction of time, being able to go through the entire repository, and apart from that, also with the machine learning behind the AI, try it learns based on multiple contracts and the behavior of how the clauses lead to the completion of the contracts, that it's able to offer recommendations and suggest certain things when uh, so that to reduce risk of the contracts also, and uh, making the entire process itself very easy. So you can say with adding the right clause at the right place, and also with managing those segments, it's the authoring process that is taken care of. Apart from that, once the contract is made, also the review process, and checking whether which part of the clauses or which segments in the contract is high risk, low risk, which may cause problems later on. So those segments are also checked, and compliance with respect to the most updated uh, you know uh, regulatory kind of segments also is checked. So there's lots of use cases with respect to AI. One of the most interesting segments you mentioned in your in the starting part, that is uh, matching, being able to offer understanding, managing the uh, counterparty management. That segment is very important, which Quadrant Knowledge Solution sees. And with respect to that, if I were to talk a little more, what we found out with very interesting is that when communication management software is tied with the CLM, there is with natural language processing, and which being able to understand what specific clauses are important, and being able to start a process from the communication management software itself, and the integration with the CLM is something that we see as a very important segment moving forward. So what I'm talking about is with the chatbot, and how chatbots are able to reduce a lot of processes. People don't have to directly move to the CLM software itself. They can manage contracts from the communication channels that they are using or they are sitting on. And that is another segment which I saw that, there's a lot of advancement in that segment also. And if you just take the sell side, which if we put it in the software terms, it's the revenue lifecycle management segment. And with that, if you see the process, what you realize is the what the RLM is trying to do is trying to make sure that the right product reaches to the clients, and uh, that is what they're giving with respect to the contract segment. That is what they are seeing from their point of view. From a buyer side, what they are looking at uh, is to have the strategic suppliers or the strategic partners realize value through the vendor selection, the right vendor selection, being able to manage the relationship better. And that is where CLM forms the node, because contract management is where the success of the relationship is taken into consideration. And that's what I feel is why CLM is a very important node in joining these two partners together. And with that, there are a lot of capabilities that AI offers. So with respect to that, especially with respect to enterprise level collaboration, what are some of the capabilities that Wisdom AI offers, Mark?
Sure, sure. And we can't agree more that from customer revenue and supplier management is better served when combined with CLM and post CLM spend management. We think that holistic approach offers a lot of efficiencies for organizations. And for AI chatbots, we do see the trend moving in that direction for certain use cases. Which really excites us here at CobbleStone and our tech team is the advancement in conversational UI, where these large language models are becoming a lot more accurate with not only understanding what a user is asking a question and correlating that to a high probability of correct answers, but also into leading tools with generative AI, summarization, transpose, translate, rewrite tools are so powerful today and advancing at light speed that brings a better conversational UI and AI chatbot to the market for us to leverage for users. So we definitely agree that these tools are just really rhyme the cake into legal processing, procurement processing, and back end automation.
Yeah, and the last time we spoke, Mark, we had a discussion on some of the exciting features that is there in the Wisdom AI. So if you could just describe on those segments also, it would be great.
Sure, sure. And we're really excited about Visdom AI. We started Visdom AI in 2018 with simple clause analytics to analyze parts of text and recognizing clauses. And with modern AI, it allows us to expand that tool set into the current Visdom offering with the large language models of clause analysis, where it doesn't have to be a close match, but a high probability of fuzzy match and breaking apart multiple sentences through sentence tokenization. But then the next phase of Wisdom AI, which where we're advancing, is improved sentiment analysis, where we're able to connect the Wisdom AI front end to multiple large language engines from various offers, whether that is currently in our libraries, but we're combining it with open AI libraries and considering other platforms in Gemini or Nematron and other backends. So we'll get to see Wisdom AI really expand these offerings, almost to the kin of saying, hey, we can ask one expert an opinion and have it analyze a question, a clause, or sentiment, or recommend. But imagine combining multiple brains together in these large language models, the Einsteins, the Hawkins, and having everything combined in one is where we see AI going and Wisdom AI going, progressing. Some of the current tools we're improving upon is generative AI. So when a legal professional needs to generate a net new clause, maybe they're not so familiar with satellite communication contracting and finding a clause that has to do with a launch protocol clause. Generative AI is so powerful. It can find this data so quick, create variations of a clause and net new clauses much quicker than humans. And accuracy is getting better, as well as automation is big with Wisdom Plus, where it's in the old days, a user had to open a contract and turn on redline and then negotiate it. With Wisdom Plus right now, our current offering auto redlines it, auto attaches the contract back and gets it to the next phase so much quicker at nearly light speed compared to a human and manual clicks, and really serves as a super fast legal assistant for that legal professional to really advance the stage of contract review, as well as risk management, like you said, analyzing certain risk levels on clauses that may or may not be favorable, and being able to recommend a clause that might be more favorable to that industry or based on prior contracting in that industry or for that counterparty customer, a clause that you've seen them accept before. That'll get the deal really closer, and the power of rephrasing and rewriting is underestimated currently with the AI, and we're building a lot more into that into Wisdom Plus.
Yeah, really exciting features there, Mark. And uh, so, to summarize, what we have seen is that in the modern contract lifecycle management space, it's CLM is basically a very important node in the communication of the suppliers and the buyer side enterprises. And apart from that, with the document management, the checking with respect to contract risk, managing the complexities, and with higher, it provides a lot of self-service capabilities with the the coming of AI. And with all these segments, CLM is moving to a very completely different and very cool kind of market space, and there's lots to watch out for. And AI, day by day, it's becoming more and more pragmatic. And with respect to that, there's a lot of exciting things, and to see, especially with like what Mark talked about right now, with respect to the the AI specific use cases. And that's where we in Quadrant Knowledge Solutions see lot of importance, and there's the criticality of the CLM software. um, Thank you for coming on this call, and have a great day.
I'd like to thank ExpertEdge and Quadrant as well, and you, Sujan, for the session today, and really exciting stuff that we have upon us with AI and CLM, and I'll be open to participate in any segments you have in the future. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely will, Mark. Thank you.